Welcome. WASSCE 2023 Further Mathematics question number 6. The table below shows the distribution of height in centimeters of a student in a class. So we have the column for height, we have the row for height, and the row for number of students. So we have to draw a histogram for the distribution, then use the histogram as we have drawn to answer the question by estimating the mode of distribution. We know to draw a histogram, we need two columns from this table. We use that in drawing the histogram. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so how do we do that? We have our height in centimeter, we have the frequency. Now let's generate the class boundary. So for the class boundary, we look at the difference between the upper class and the lower class of the next class. So the difference between this is going to be 1. So half of that will be half. So we subtract half from the lower class boundary, each of the lower class boundary, and we add half to each of the upper class boundary. So here is going to be 124.5. If you add it to this as half, 129.5. We are subtracting half from each of the lower class boundary. So this from here will be 129.5. Then we add half to this. We subtract half from this, 134.5. Added to this, 139.5. Subtract 139.5. Added to this, 144.5. Let's subtract 144.5, then 149.5. So now we are going to be using this range or this class boundary on our x-axis, then the number of students on the y-axis to draw the histogram. So let's see how we can put this into a diagram. Okay, so this is our graph sheet. So what we need to do is we need the y-axis and we need the x-axis. But that will, the question determines how many bars or how many columns we are going to have for our bar. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Meaning on the x-axis, we just need 5 intervals. Then we can see from 4 to 23 on the y-axis, meaning we need to take a suitable scale that can accommodate all these numbers. And if I start from here, taking the x-axis to be here, I may have 0 on the x-axis, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. You can see that I've already accommodated those numbers. If I take from here, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4. I may also be able to get my bars. So let's just take 5 centimeter on the y-axis and see the interval here. We are using the class boundary. So you can see from here to here, the interval is going to be 5. So on the x-axis also, we are going to be using 2 centimeters to 5 units. So let's make our axis. The ideal thing is to use pencil. I'm using pen for easy visibility. So what do? Let's make a label. You can see from the marks we are having, or the class boundary, that we are starting all the way from 124. You can see there are a lot of numbers that are missing. So let's just break the graph in the beginning. We break this one. Simply put, the interval from the 0 axis here to this 2 centimeter is not going to be the same as from here to here. You know, if I am using this very place as the first class, lower class boundary, which is going to be 124.5. The next is going to be 129.5. The next will be 1, that is from here to here, here to here, so 134.5, which is this, the same as the beginning. So we move on to 139.5, which is the ending here, the beginning here. The next will be 144.5, and finally we have 149.5. So if you check carefully, the interval from here to here is going to be 5, the same as each of the intervals. But from the 0 axis to 124 is too vast. So we break the graph, meaning we are not following the same scale from the 0 to the first 2 centimeter box. So here will also be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So we have 30. We can also end it there. So this is going to be the axis for the height, which is in centimeters. Then we know that this axis is going to be the frequency. So we have our frequency. All right. So now let's try to create our bars, knowing very well that from 125.5 to 129.5, the frequency is what? 5. So from here to here, we are moving on to 5 numbers or 5 people. So this is our bar. Then this is the ending, which is the upper class boundary for the first one, beginning again to 135, which will be 21. So we know this is going to be 20. Since the interval is 5, you know there are 10 lines in between. So if I pick each of them to be 1 1, it will be more than 5. So it means every 2 boxes become 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5. So the 20 is here. 21 is just 1 box, 2 boxes away. So we draw a line from here. Then we join this one with the same dimension from there. Then we close the gap here. What is next? The next one is from 134 to 139, which is also 23. You know, we are already at 21. So 22, then we have 23. So let's just join this part. Take it to this side. Then we cap it here. So we can see that we are having this bar also. The next bar to do is from 139 to 145, 144.5. So we have 7. Can we get? We have our 5 here, 6 will be here, so 7 will be right here. So let's join that line. So we have our 7. The next thing to do is to add 4 on the frequency. Don't forget, since 5 is already here, we take a box down, 2 boxes down. To have that. So let's create some visibility for our bars. Okay, so this is exactly what our histogram is going to be. But from the question, we are asked to use the histogram we have drawn in order to find the modal mark. How do we get a modal mark? We always use the longest bar, the bar before it and after. We draw a line from the corner to the corner of the next one, meaning the beginning corner right to the beginning corner of the next bar. So let's indicate that. Then the next corner right down to the corner of the bar before it. Then we look at the intersection of the two lines. Watching carefully. So I'm going to draw that down. And put it here. So that is where the modal height is going to be. How will I get it? You remember we mentioned that the interval is 5. So if I take just 2 boxes, that 2 boxes will be representing 1 centimeter. So if you add 1 centimeter to this, that will be giving you, let's say, our modal height is going to mean 134.5 plus 1, and that would give us 135.5. So that would be the modal height as the question is demanding. So this is the representation of the question on a histogram. But don't forget, if you draw a histogram, you should be able to give a title to the histogram. And this histogram is talking about the height of people or student. So we can have it as a histogram showing the distribution of height, which are in centimeter, of student in a class. You can get this from the question. Normally the title will be derived from the question. Then you underline it nicely. Try so that your title will not interfere with the bars that you have drawn. So the title will be just at the top. Then we know that the scale we are using is 5 centimeter to 2 units on both axes. So there are cases whereby the scale used on the x-axis will be different from the scale used on the y-axis. You indicate the two and indicate that on the graph to show the scale you use. All right, I believe the concept of the histogram is understood. If yes, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye-bye.